it's Moo from Twin Love on Prime Video, and you're now watching Big Gold Belt Media.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. As you see, today it's very special because we're in the studio for a very live and special interview. We are here to talk about the new series coming to Prime Video, Twin Love, which is available November 17th. All 9 episodes. This is your new reality binge. I am with not only just one of the stars, but a friend of mine that there's a wild story even behind this, but I'm very excited to be here with you in person.
Oh, no.
All the way from the UK, but also back at home in the DMV, because I'm surprised you didn't put enough respect on that. You know you got to put the DMV on anytime you're out anywhere. But nonetheless, Moo Smith.
Yep, that's
What's
me.
going on? How you doing?
Good. It's good to be here. Haven't been home in ages.
Yeah.
So, actually, since I was in LA for the show, so back in the DMV, it's been a while. It's good to be back.
Yeah, great to see you. Oh, man. The story. I'm just minding my business. Typical day. Couple of emails pop up. Typical press stuff, right? And I'm just like, all right, cool. And then everybody knows I'm a pro wrestling fan. And I knew that the Bella twins, well, formerly of the Bella twins, now going back to their should I say, government names or their birth names, and Garcia twins. I was like, yeah, I'm going to check it out. I'll get around to it as we get closer to the day. But I just happened to look at the second email, right? And the second email was like introducing more of the cast, more of the twin sets. I was like, all right, let's just see who's on there. And I'm like, what the hell? I see Moo read there, and I'm just like, instant text. Excuse me, ma'am.
Surprise.
But, that's when, obviously, beyond the initial investment for the show, that's when I was like, I'm really locked in. I really can't see what this is about. But the journey for you is much longer here.
Oh, yeah, much longer.
So let's start at the beginning. Where did the thought cross you or your sister's mind to say, well, here's a good idea?
Was it? No. Well, it was kind of crazy because we had just got home to Manchester from being in Ibiza for vacation, and my sister was like, hey, there's this opportunity, and I'm kind of like, I don't know about that. I had just been seeing a guy at the time, and we had just ended things, so the timing of it was interesting.
Okay.
And Ree basically came to me, and she was like, we have this opportunity to go on a dating show and, find love together as twins, so why don't we just go for it? And I was like, I have nothing to lose. When you're coming off of getting screwed over by someone, you're kind of like, fuck it, energy. Yeah. So that's where I was at mentally. And then we just said, let's go for it. We found out the day before they flew us to LA that we were going to go on the show. So it was kind of crazy. And it all happened so fast. So there we were.
Okay, so hold on. So much like I would assess you all as twins, and you obviously have the entire night to correct me here, Ree seems like the more ambitious one. You're more reserved. I think that was detailed. Mm-hmm. I think that was very much detailed on the show. But also, I think it also should be very detailed that you also are you're like one of those people you don't want to cross. Like
100%.
Yeah, it's like the silent ones everybody always talk about. But because she approached you with the opportunity, the stars kind of aligned. I'm guessing first she was single at the time too. Fresh and single, or just all the way single?
Been single for ages.
Okay. So like this is definitely like this is cool, but obviously she get to do it with her best friend. And for you're just like, yeah, why not? I mean, that hit the fan, good opportunity and so on. But you're still more of the reserved type. So did you have any initial hesitations?
Oh, lots of hesitation. Listen, for me, it was more of a I'm going to do this for Ree actually type situation in my head. It wasn't so much this is what I want to do to find love, or an opportunity that really I would, if I wasn't a twin, I wouldn't be sitting here right now, but that's what you do as a twin. So it was something that she wanted to try. She wanted to, an experience she wanted to do.
Yeah.
And so it was one of those where I was like, Ree, I'm here with you. I'll go for it type thing. And I'm definitely the more reserved twin or the quieter one.
Yeah.
Ree's the more outgoing one,
Yeah.
but I would say that I'm more protective than she is, so it kind of balances out.
Yeah, we're gonna see when the internet gets a hold of you, because you were serving some faces on this show. As I love the meter of the fuck around and find out. You just see it in your face. You just keep saying like, yeah, wrong person crush you, But that's interesting. Because a lot of the narrative of the show is, can you overcome prioritizing your twin to find love? So although you two, with a disadvantage, joins the show by episode 6, it was still some opportunity. I'm just curious, even by that the last statement you made, was there ever a time where you started to prioritize yourself, or was it just the entire way?
So my personal journey on the show was difficult because I think I walked into a situation where the house was pretty established. And from what I heard, once I walked in, the girls kind of decided to claim their man. That's the energy that I was receiving from everyone.
Okay, that's what it was shown. So yeah.
So it didn't leave a lot of options, I guess, for me to explore everyone in the house or get to know everyone. And also, like, the time, there wasn't a lot of time for it at that point. So that was tough. And I think in the back of my head, it was like, okay, maybe I haven't met someone that I potentially click with, but not knowing, with Ree being in the other house, no contact, not knowing if she was building something, and, knowing the guys that were in my house, I was like, there's potential that she's met someone. So in the back of my head, I was like, I'm just going to ride this out until, I find out what's going on with her. So yeah, I knew we were going to have so much to talk about. Because, like, you mentioned your professional career on your Mouthy, so we're not going to tap into that too much. But I know you're very analytical, and so even with all reality shows, there is a measure of strategy. And in this case, it is about self-preservation, but also preservation for your sister as well too. So I could imagine at some point your gears started turning beyond control, maybe anxiety flying through the window, because you're trying to figure out like what works for you. But then at the same time, for the people that's claimed, you're like, well, they're a twin, and knowing how you and your twin operate, could that other person opposite be free and work with your sister, where you literally are playing matchmaker while also trying to like work it out for yourself? So like, was there ever a point where you kind of looked across and you were in the Vista house? Mm-hmm. Was there ever a point where you kind of looked over and said, I'm sure them in the garden house will work for Ree? Did it ever get that deep for you? 100%. I knew in my gut, and I always trust my gut. I knew that Ree would have had something going on. And again, we had some twinformation come through to like allow us to see, what was going on in the other house. And the first thing that I saw early on was Ree and Mickey kissing. And getting to know Jair in the house, I knew right away that Mickey and Ree would click. So as soon as things didn't work out for me, I knew in the back of my head, I was like, okay, I need to figure out how I stay here so that Ree can continue to pursue Mickey. Yeah. So, yeah, you have to start thinking strategy at some point.
And I will say, I think Mickey and Jair are solid dudes.
They're awesome.
I think they were really transparent about their intentions, and I definitely got some additional thoughts with Mickey down the line and in that situation, but I definitely think they were solid brothers in there. So I fly on the wall, I would have like, yeah, if Jair is obviously claim, it makes sense. Or you can only think like, if he's solid, his brother got to be solid. And you also could probably think the same about other persons. Like, that's probably not a good person. So I'm not worried about that one over there. That's interesting. So coming into how much information did you know about like the logistics of the reality show? Was there ever a time where you just completely knew y'all were going to be together the entire time? And then at what point were you kind of just like hit with this, so by the way, you're doing this separately?
Yeah, that's a great question. And probably the most impactful part of all of this for me, we weren't told anything from, we got on our flight in Manchester to go to LA. We're going on an untitled dating show, we're casting twins. Yeah. Okay, like we don't know if we're the only set of twins. We don't know if it's all twins. We don't know anything. They really kept everything a secret.
Okay.
And even the time that Rhea and I spent there before we went into the house, not knowing when we were going to go in, we were together in a hotel room, you know, hanging out, being like, okay, like, strategy, like, what are we doing? Like, what's going to happen? And at some point, I started getting in my head, and I was like, I wonder if they're going to split us up. I had one thought, like, right before we went into the house, that they might potentially split us up. And then I was like, no chance. They're going to split up twins. They wouldn't do that. We didn't find out until cameras were rolling, we're mic'd up, we get on stage, and the Bella twins break it to us that they're splitting us up. And I had two choices in my head. I'm like, I either cry right now or I just keep it together and roll with it, and that's what we did. So that's
awesome. Can you talk a little bit more about you two's I should say relationship, but sisterhood and best friendship? Because I think for me, one of the biggest things for me is that, like, in all due respect, a lot of reality shows are just trash. And I don't say trash like in terms of production, but like it's very drama felt. And the viewers, a lot of folks tune in for either the drama or because they're hopeless romantic, or you just root for love, much like myself. You want to see people win. Mm-hmm. But a lot of these shows kind of get away from that. They're just like, hey, it's about love, but really it's not. It's all about all the BS that's going to happen down here. But what really became intriguing to me is that I've always had assumptions, even like knowing you and seeing your sisters and stuff, and seeing your sister and how y'all operate. There's these very surface layer assumptions about how twins work. Mm-hmm. I started to become much more intrigued about how every twin was different. Mm-hmm. Where you had some of the guys were just like, hey, you know, I'm good. I know he's good. Mm-hmm. You had a set of twins that basically say, I've never been separated from my sister. Never. This is like, holy hell, never? And like ones that said I can't operate without her energy. That hit me. I was like, at some point, this is not going to be good for them. You know, it's an experiment. We get it, but like this is going to start affecting mental health at a point. But there's so many different instances, and that's when I started to really get intrigued. And then even dating. I mean, granted, you can say y'all two are very attractive. No issues dating, but understanding the mindset that like you dating don't just affect you, it affects her. And to think like that, I date, it affects me only. Everybody else has got to fall in line. It was just so many little things that I learned throughout the show about just the psychology of twins. So could you speak a little bit about you and your sister's relationship, how y'all operate your superpowers? Can y'all finish each other's sentences, all that other good stuff?
Yeah, that's loaded, so this could be a long one.
Yeah.
So I think, and obviously I can't speak for every set of twins, but I think it has a lot to do with how you're raised. When you're young and you're twins, your parents get to decide, you know, do you take the same classes in high school, and are you in the same classes in middle school? So I think a lot of how much time you spend together growing up does have an impact on it. And for my sister and I, we were best friends. We had all the same friend groups. We played the same sports. We liked the same things, the same music. And so, you know, being that close growing up, it definitely impacts you into adulthood, and especially when it comes to dating. I always say this, it takes a special type of person to be best friends with a set of twins. You really just have to be comfortable with, two people that you can't separate. You know, if there's a friend group and you'll see like 3 friends, for example, they might have, you know, different relationships, but when someone comes in and is friends with a set of twins, it must be a lot more difficult. Sometimes my sister and I remind ourselves, like if we're on holiday with a friend, we'll be like, hey, we're definitely not paying enough attention to this person. It's just difficult. It's difficult because you just have a relationship with this person that is like no other relationship you have in your life.
Yeah.
Like I love my friends, I love my parents, I love, you know, the people that I care about in my life, but I will never have love for anyone that I have for my sister.
Yeah.
And that comes to relationships. Any relationship that I've been in, it's like, yeah, you have strong feelings for this person, but it's never going to be the same type of feelings that I have for my sister. She's like a soulmate to me.
Yeah. You
know, and I've heard Brie and Nikki talk about that too. Like they have that relationship together that they're like a soulmate, but then they have their husbands and they just need to understand that they'll never, you know, come in between that relationship.
Yeah.
But it's all about being able to find someone that fits into that relationship.
Yeah.
You know, which isn't for everyone. You know?
Yeah, and I could imagine too, playing devil's advocate, if you date a set of twins who just aren't emotionally intelligent and mature and lack communication skills, it's a failed on arrival every single time because you think I prioritize you, you prioritize me. And traditional dating is a sense of like husband, wife, and everything else follows under, you know?
Exactly.
But yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with what you're saying. In fact, I think it's I think it's a huge benefit for anybody to understand what means the most to you. And I think that if anybody ever wants to be in your space, they have to recognize that. So with that, was that then like, because I can imagine that's been challenging with dating in the past. So coming to the show, was that like a whew, thank God we don't got to cover this? Or was that still an issue?
Honestly, that's one of the things that was pretty crazy to me. I mean, I think the fact that they separated everyone helped because it could have been a shit show. If you put all of us in the same house, they might have to run this back and do it again with everyone in the same house from start to finish.
I didn't even think they were going to put everybody in the house at all.
I know. I think that could have had a major impact on the way things went because then you have your twin, you know, not only trying to find someone they connect with, but also wanting to be super tuned into the person that your sister's seeing. And, you know, twins are two different people. Just because you might treat a girl a certain way doesn't mean your brother would be the same. So it would have been a lot different if we were in the same house. But I think since we were separated, it really allowed people to just, like, build their own connections while keeping their twin in the back of their mind. But it's definitely difficult, especially with dating in the past. I've had guys say to me, I think you're just, like, too like attached to your sister for us to be able to spend enough time together. And it's like that just wasn't the right person then. And then I've dated other people that completely understand the relationship that I have with my sister. So it really just takes a special type of person. And I noticed with the twin guys that were in the house, there wasn't any of that pressure. Like everyone understood each other in that sense. That, you know, that you don't have to try and explain to someone what your connection is with your sister or your twin. They already get it. So that's super helpful.
Also, too, like, again, playing devil's advocate, I'm not naming anybody here. We'll get to some very specifics in a little bit. But there was other twins that were proactively saying, well, if we're alike, then the opposite, too, should also be alike. It should be like a one-for-one, which I know that's something that the show, as a narrative, was kind of pushing. And, again, I think surface layer, a lot of folks would think that. But yeah, you are different. You know, everybody's at some extent, no matter how close your genetics are, you're different here.
Sure.
And I think, you know, obviously, and about a lot of things, you shouldn't have to teach anybody, but your standards are your standards. This is what it's going to be. Like Bree's always going to be my number one. That's
Always.
it. That doesn't mean that you're last. Just means she's my
close
number
second.
one. Yeah, close second. That's fine. Like, and you should appreciate that. You know, you talk about building healthy relationships, but that's a display of a healthy relationship. That actually, as a guy, should be like a check in the positive box and say, like, can she maintain a healthy relationship? Yes. Look at her and her sister, because we all know, especially by the show, that there are still mean girls that exist out there.
I mean, we can get into that.
Oh, man. So how was the weather there? When did you film? Talk a little to me about just the production, a little bit about the location, the house and all that. Just tell me a little bit about the behind-the-scenes stuff about this place.
Yeah, let's do that. So for my sister and I, we obviously went in late. Filming had been going on for quite a while. It was actually last October. Wow. So it's been a whole year since we did filming. Yeah. And keeping, you know, that on the hush for a year was difficult.
How difficult?
Very difficult. It was cool, though, because, like, we were in contact with all the twins. We were able to reach out and, you know, see how everyone was doing. So at least you had people you could talk to. But not being able to really tell everyone else was difficult. But the weather wasn't great, actually, in LA when we filmed. It wasn't great.
Oh, wow.
We had some, like, cloudy days. You know, when you're in a villa, you want it to be hot. You want to be in your bathing suit. But it was a little bit cooler in October. But it was still beautiful. The houses we stayed in were stunning. Yeah. So it was a really good experience that way. Definitely, it was interesting to see the way that you kind of have to live in one of these situations. You know, you don't just roam around doing whatever you want. It's definitely structured in a way. So that makes things interesting as well. You can't just, run around saying whatever you want to people. So that was interesting, but it was a cool experience.
Yeah. Being in Manchester and come back to States, obviously living in both. We'll get to a good halfway point before I get into specifics. Was there ever like a cultural shock to you coming back and being around like these pure Americans, shall we say?
Oh my gosh, that is such a good question. Yeah, so my sister and I had been living in the UK for, I want to say, a year and a half or so. Mm-hmm. Oh, she'd been there a lot longer, sorry. Mm-hmm. We were separated for a while, so that was hard. But I'd been in the UK for about a year and a half prior to filming. And when I tell you the shock coming back and meeting, like, American boys and girls, it was just the strangest experience. Because you becomes, I was used to English accents around me. Like, I almost thought I had an English accent by
Definitely
that point.
Definitely don't.
No, but coming back was such a shock.
Yeah.
Honestly, and like the banter's different. Just the way people act and the things that they like and do are so different.
Yeah.
So it's definitely a bit of a shock, and that's another thing you have to overcome too, right? Is like getting back on that, okay, it's a different culture. We're meeting people that have, different things going on in their lives. So that was a little bit interesting too.
Yeah. Did you ever miss home at any point? Like strongly?
Sure. Yes. I mean, I hadn't been there too long, but my sister definitely missed home. And, being back around, I would say the culture that we grew up around, it was honestly like such a nice like relief. It was nice to be back and be around that. The nice thing for us is we can always go back and forth. So I never feel too strongly that, I'm not going to come back out here. So that's also a nice kind of blanket to have in that situation.
I just got so much to say about that statement because there was definitely a very obvious, should I say, there's a very obviously a very obvious perspective of folks from in there, folks that you can tell don't get out much or get away much. As the key word for tonight is distance, because man, but again, I'm gonna get to a good point, and then we'll definitely talk into some specifics of the show. One thing I was really happy about, because obviously I'm there rooting for my friends watching the show, right? You all got a granular entrance. You all got to be, it was displayed, you all walking in, you got to meet the Bellas/Garcias here, and they kind of told you the landscape of things. Everybody else just got slid in. Mm-hmm. Did you, looking at the show, did that make you feel any type of way?
I mean, I think it's super cool. I think going in late is already such a disadvantage, and it's difficult enough. So it's nice to see the way that, we got to kind of come in and make this entrance and to be like, hey, I'm here, like, what's up?
Yeah.
So that was super cool. It was honestly super nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
Because, when I walked into my house, I didn't know what my sister was walking into, but I walked into some pool party, and I think I had to like refilm my entrance because I walked the wrong way in the house. Like I didn't know where I was going. It was one of those where I'm like, okay, walk in, like where am I going? And then you walk outside, and there's just like all these twins, and it's just like whoa.
Yeah.
So it was scary, but it was super exciting at the same time.
Yeah. I don't know if you answer, but just in case, because we're gonna get to a part where we should really start talking about the show. For folks that may be wondering, how do you tell you and your twin apart?
So personally, I think we look super different. But actually, one thing that happened when we were in the house, the night that all the twins got back together, we were sitting around the fireplace, and we were all saying, who do we think are the most similar twins out of everyone?
Okay.
And
did they show that?
No.
Wow.
They did not. Yeah, they did not. And I think my sister and I said, maybe Zoe and Bailey or Whitney and Brittany. I can't really remember.
Whitney and Brittany, yeah. Whew,
they're very similar. I mean, all of them, they're all very similar. There was sometimes where I did a double take and I'm like, was I living with you or you? I don't know. So even as a twin, you don't have like this sixth sense where you just know. But all the twins, every single pair of twins said that my sister and I looked the most alike, which I thought was interesting.
Yeah.
But the way that we typically tell people to tell us apart is, I'm left-handed, she's right-handed, so we're mirror image twins, which is interesting. And you can look this up because it's a super interesting concept.
Come on, this is what I'm here for. I want to learn more. Come on, tell me.
So we're pretty much opposites in every way. Definitely super different personalities.
Yeah.
I'm left-handed, she's right-handed. We'll be walking down the street and we'll be leading with the opposite foot, swinging the opposite arm. I'm not even joking.
I did walk in like that too. Yeah. And I thought like, that's so interesting. In the presentation I came in, I definitely noticed that. And I was just like, I'm surprised they didn't refilm that because typically they want people to be on the same foot.
Yeah.
That's okay, keep going.
Yeah, you can run that episode back and watch our entrance and we're probably doing the exact opposite thing. So we typically try to wear our hair differently. And I have a freckle on my face.
Okay.
On my left cheek, which Ree does not have. And that's really the tells.
Yeah, I truly do not think you look alike. I mean, obviously, favor, and you're like, yeah, they're definitely twins. But, like, once you get, like, all up in your face, you're like, they definitely don't look alike. There's definitely.
For sure.
And I don't know what they are. I just always knew you from your sister. I challenged myself at times, especially the episodes when y'all are all in the same one. That's like my head was hurting. But I was like, some particulars, I definitely know the difference. Like Jair and Mickey, obviously, because hairstyles and whatnot. I wonder if they did have the same hairstyle, I could tell them apart. But they were like easy. What's her name? Morgaine and
Madison. They had different hairstyles.
Yep. So like there was but again, y'all have always just looked like and personalities for sure.
Yeah, we're so different.
Yeah, we relate more from again the analytical stuff. So like I feel like we like think in the same strategy. And your sister definitely gives very much outgoing, which you also labeled it like she's more the risk taker there.
For
like,
sure.
Yeah, but it's a good balance because you got her back. You're not an operator. You know when to come in for support. Which I wonder too, like was there ever parts where you're like, I'm about to run over to that house, make sure she good?
Oh my gosh. I had a whole conversation with Shelby. I had multiple conversations with Shelby where I just cried and I was like, I just need to know she's good. Like I just need a text. Like I'm like, can I go to a producer? Can I just know she's okay? They're like, no, sorry, you can't know anything. Like let her do her journey. And I'm just like, no, you can't do that. Like that's my twin, you know?
I wonder, was there anybody else in terms of production that were twins? Just curious.
I don't believe so.
Okay, that would have just been.
That would have been interesting. They would have known too much what was going on.
Truly. And I really did enjoy this season. I think there's definitely a lot of room to grow and actually potentially work some different things into it. I don't think the reward at the end was like a big thing. But also great that they did make it a big thing because again, once you start to add tangible like milestones or achievements, then it becomes less about the love. It becomes more about like the end game, it just turns into Squid Games at that point. People stab people with a bat. So yeah, last question on this break here. And folks, just some context here. We will obviously have a chat with Ree. She just happens to just be out here in the UK doing her thing.
Come on, Ree.
Yeah. She's here in spirit.
For sure. I'm going to call her after this.
Yes. And on that note, if there's one particular thing that folks should know about her that not too personal or not personal at all, but if this is one thing that, because you got to talk a little bit about your sister, especially in some of the games we'll talk about. But like if there's something that if you had to let people know about your sister, what would that be?
I mean, I guess I can say this, but my sister's in a relationship now, actually.
Oh, because we're going to get the update. Yeah. Okay.
But it's honestly been crazy because she ended up meeting someone very shortly after the show. And honestly, she's been single for years. And so this is the first time she's been in a relationship where we've found like a guy that really fits into our lifestyle. And this guy like 110% respects our relationship as twins.
Yeah.
So that's something interesting that's going on in Ree's life right now. But yeah, so She's wiped off now.
Well, we're going to find out
Not
about
me.
you in a little bit. Oh, there it is. Well, listen, folks, when we come back, we're obviously going to talk very specifically about things in the show. All right, everybody, we are back here now for the second half of this interview with the lovely Moo from the new season of Twin Love on Prime Video, November 17th. Now, I warned you all. I said we're going to get into some specifics. So if you have not checked out the season, please go do yourself. You have 9 hours of content to catch up with all things season 1. And while I did like this show, I felt a little defensive for my friends there, but nonetheless, unbiasedly, I definitely got some questions I want to ask you about things that were going on. Where do I start? I think we got to start with the game, spilling tea. You were very excited to talk about that. One, because you definitely face planted.
Yes, I did. Thanks, Ree, for that one.
But that was so funny because much like Ree, competitive, they didn't give you a bite there. But what were you thinking upon this game and the potential of the game, going against your sister? What were sort of the thoughts in your head?
So, when we found out we were going to play Spill the Tea, we found out that one of our houses were going to get information about the other house. And right away, you know, both houses are like, we need to win this.
Yeah.
Being a twin, you're super competitive, as it is. So in my head, I'm just like, I'm going to slam Ree. Like, no matter what I do, I'm going to slam her. That did not happen. She slammed me, which I'm not even surprised because that's just Ree. She's super freaking competitive.
Yeah.
So it was honestly such a lighthearted, fun challenge. So going into the house and being new and that being like the first challenge we did was super fun.
Yeah.
And it was just like, it got everyone in good spirits, you know, watching each other slam their twins. I don't know. But it was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Obviously we lost.
Yeah.
No thanks to me. I think I did my part. Okay.
Yeah.
I did all right.
Mm-hmm.
But it was a lot harder than it looked. The second you started running out in the slime, that was it. Game over. You're falling regardless.
Yeah.
So it was fun, though. It was interesting. But we had this behind the scenes moment where the Vista house felt like it was on a hill. So really, the garden house had an advantage. We were running uphill, ever so slightly running uphill.
Yeah.
So after it, we were complaining to Brie and Nikki. We're like, this is not fair. This is on a hill. So it's funny, but we lost. So
Yeah.
Gotta be a good loser sometimes.
I'm not going to go into all the drama like full tilt. I'm work my way there. So obviously, we're going to talk about the game first. I am disappointed because I really did want to see you all on the dance challenge.
I know.
So if you and your sister, obviously opposite walls by merit of the game, and y'all had to pick a dance, and this was obviously a measure of seeing if you all had twin telepathy, would you all pick the same dance moves? Do y'all two have a signature dance move together?
So I would say just in general, we dance very similarly, but we laughed about this after the show because when we watched it and we saw that the twins did a dance challenge, Rhiannon's like, oh my gosh, what would you have done? And I'm like, I don't know. I think I would have just started like doing the bachata, like the Latin dance. And she was like, oh my gosh, I would have done the same thing. That's like, we do that in clubs in Manchester all the time. And it throws people off because like people aren't out there doing it.
Yeah.
So that's like one of the things from Virginia growing up, like a lot of like Latino culture and things around us. So that's like our go-to thing. Like we do it together all the time. So we probably both would have started doing that on other sides of the wall.
And listen, folks, the DMV is the place to be. It's very multicultural. You get a little bit of everything out here. And as you hear, like, you get some Latin music. You go into DC proper, you get some go-go. I mean, you get you get everything. It's a good mixing bowl of things here. Sure. So glad to hear that. And that would have been, I would have loved to see that.
It definitely would have been the same dance.
And then y'all would have been established as twins with the superpower of telepathy.
100%.
I think you answered earlier. Do y'all finish each other's sentences?
Weirdly enough, we've had so many situations where it'll be silent. We're in the car and we just say something at the same exact time and we say the same thing and we were thinking the same thing.
Yeah.
But it actually freaks us out. We're like, we'll look at each other and we're like, okay, this is weird.
It's a glitch. It's a glitch in the system.
We were just having the same thought and we said the same thing at the same time. And we also know if we're saying a sentence, we know how it's going to end most of the time.
Who's older?
telepathy.
Who's older?
Ree's older by 2 minutes, and she likes to remind everyone of that. But, I would say I came out second, so I think I'm older. I was probably, just in there first.
Protecting her, as you still do.
Sure.
Yeah, you wanted to see her go first, and you watching behind her. I was like, all right,
exactly.
we good.
I got her back.
Yeah.
I came out second.
You listen. All right, let me not get in trouble. Say you're the coolest before Ree beat me up, and then you beat me up too for saying that.
Yeah, exactly. It's
like
one
a
of those,
chain reaction.
It's like, thank you, but don't you dare say that about her.
No, I love Ree. Are you all anybody taller? Same height?
I'm slightly taller than Ree.
Okay.
Yeah, slightly taller. I'm like half a shoe size bigger. What else? I mean, in every other way, shape, and form, we're pretty much the same.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Y'all got Adidas sponsorship? I seen y'all were just Adidas out the whole show. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We love those. Hey, listen, we love Adidas and Nike. Hey.
All right, I was bullshitting. Let's get into the shit. Love. You come in. You made a decision. You identified him as the person of your slim options that you wanted to pursue. What, beyond just the limited options, what was just your initial thoughts about him? What was something that drew you to him? And then we'll get to the date in a second.
So let's get into the tea around this. So I had to really think about this, right? Because I was watching the show back and I'm like, okay, I think I did say that Love was my type.
Yeah.
But out of all the guys initially, my type was Samir, actually. And I do remember saying that and pointing at Samir, but that's not the way it came across in the show, so it's kind of interesting that way. But I did also mention Love.
Okay.
I had actually pulled Samir for a chat as well, which I don't believe is in the episodes. But he pretty much told me, yeah, I'm pretty tied up with Bailey. We went through some stuff. It's been a hard time, so I'm pursuing things with her. And I said, okay, Love was, he was super in good energy off the bat. We clicked. There's a few things that were very similar music-wise, and music's a big part of my life. Mm-hmm. So that was just instantly, I was like, okay, I'm going to give this a shot. It seems like we have, similar taste in music. He has good energy. Let's just see where things go.
Okay. So I think I'm a good judge of character, and
sure.
I know how productions work. Mm-hmm. And as I very detailed earlier about your personality, and whether you listen to this or you just watch the show, you're reserved, more strategical. I think you think of every option before you execute on one. So to me, it was kind of to see you go on a date, fine, but obviously a kiss here.
Right.
Were you feeling it at the moment, or was this truly an act of production?
It actually wasn't an act of production. So my energy with Love day one was great.
Yeah.
He was super, super welcoming, super easy to talk to. Like I said, we had quite a few things in common. Tech, music.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Super nice guy. And, you're getting to know someone for less than 24 hours. And then we went on our first date. So things were flowing. Conversation was
Vibes.
good. His energy was a lot for me. But, my number one checklist item is a guy a good kisser.
Okay.
So I was like, might as well just check this one off and see if it's there.
Yeah.
And it was a good kiss, so I'll give him that.
Yeah. I no shame in that at all. It's just, to me, I was like, our personality doesn't scream, I'm about to do this. But I agree. And I always talk about a good female friend of mine will always say, listen, if a girl likes you, you ask her for a kiss, she'll say yes. So one, it not only just checks off the box for me in terms of I hope they're a good kisser, but at the same time it's all right, well, are they really feeling me? So let's just get that out the way right now, because obviously other folks were struggling with affirmations in there as well at times. Mm-hmm. That's why I think that the Tony of people strongly labeling their significant others became a theme, because I think a lot of people was in this, I think we're good, but I'm not sure.
100%.
And so the only way to be sure is to throw a label on it and see how people respond.
For sure. And you have to remember, right, it's real life, but it's not.
Yeah.
You're almost in this dream world when you're in the house where it's you feel the pressure, right, of you don't have a lot of time. one day feels like a month in the house, honestly. I felt like I was in there for 3 months.
How long was it?
3 weeks for the twins that started from day one.
Okay.
I think it was 3 or 4 weeks.
Okay.
Something like that.
So which I do like 2?
We did 1.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Okay. They got a lot out for
I know.
a week.
And let me tell you, it felt like a month.
So now it's starting to click. Mm-hmm. So when you got the call about being on the show, they needed you in there pretty quickly to execute the roster change, shall I say.
Yeah. Actually, no. My sister and I were in a hotel room for 3 weeks together before we went in. So imagine what that does to you mentally.
Yeah.
Before you go into a house and then you're separated from your twin.
Yeah, I'm dramatic. I'm like, I'm about to get killed. I'm done.
So like we're shacked up together for 3 weeks in a hotel room. We barely get to leave the place because with COVID restrictions and everything.
Oh yeah.
They had to be super strict.
Yeah.
Yep. They had to be super strict to make sure no one got COVID and then ruined the entire production, right?
Yeah.
So 3 weeks in a hotel room together, and then we get a call randomly saying, like, hey, you're going into the house. So we kind of went in as, I think it was maybe to test the other twins' relationships. You know what I'm saying? We had every chance of building something as well, but in such a short amount of time, it's more difficult.
Yeah.
But I think that could have potentially been our role in a way. But again, Brie and Mickey hit it off, so it's really just, you never know.
I have again so many questions because again I would think, and I keep alluding to some of these other reality shows. You're right. You're absolutely are going to come in and stir the pot, and the whole narrative about love goes away, and then it becomes more about the temptation and the drama. I wonder if there's like a measure of disappointment that y'all came in and you all wasn't about that. You were like, I'm gonna see if this works or it doesn't, and then I'm done. And if it don't, and as you mentioned, ain't nobody working for me here, so that's a wrap.
And I think a lot of that comes back to being a twin. I think for me and Ree personally, anyways, I feel like loyalty becomes so important. Being authentic and being loyal and like having someone's back as a twin, those are some things that are super important. So going into a situation like this, that's still how I want to treat the people around me. And I think I would say that for most of the twins that were in the house.
Uh-oh.
That's how people come across for the most part.
So, they got guy code, they got women code. There's twin code right here.
There's twin code.
So you're saying, like, if you want somebody, if anybody's struggling out there with infidelity or any of that BS, get you a twin, because at least they're going to be loyal.
We're loyal.
It's a huge day. Love
big statement.
Yeah, the twin, the whole twin sphere is about to just go through the roof now. The twin stock market.
Send me a DM and let me know if you agree as a twin. Because that's what I think.
Was there any other? Did you all ever think that you may have been going to another show that's already out?
Yes. We had a whole brainstorming moment on the flight. We're like, are we going to Dated and Related? Because that was one of the things that I think season 1 had just been out the year before.
Yeah.
And there was a set of twins on that show. So my sister and I were wondering, are we going to be like the only set of... Again, we didn't know we were being separated. We didn't know what the show was.
Yeah.
So that was one of the ones that we thought it might be.
Yeah.
But other than that, we didn't have a clue.
So, and I don't know how much TV you watch, so you didn't think like, no, Too Hot to Handle, The Circle...
I mean...
Love is Blind. With twins, that would be wild. That would be wild.
Actually, I think the one thing they told us was it was season 1.
Okay.
So, but again, we still had a feeling we're like, this is giving Dated and Related. But no, season 1, we're like, okay, we're not walking into Too Hot to Handle here.
Yeah. Oh, man. I just would have hated that for you all.
That wouldn't have been me.
The drama's still pouring out from that last
season.
We're not going to talk so much about the love triangle with Mickey, Morgaine, and Ree. We're going to let Ree, when we have Ree, we're all together. We're going to let her share her thoughts on that. But I am going to ask for some reactions from you in that a little bit. Let's see. What else we need to talk about here? Yeah, let's get to... Well, there's 2 ways we could go. Did we go back or did we go forward here? Let's go back. Gabby, you never met her.
No.
Have you talked at all?
We have not.
There's obviously a conversation to be had here.
100%.
And this ain't like a regular like, hey girl, nice to meet you. This is probably more of the like, let's go get drinks.
Let's talk about this.
Let's talk about this.
We went through something similar in the house.
Yeah. One, it breaks my heart for her. Their situation, I think, really brings out the complexity of the show. I forget Gabby's sister name right now, but Gabby just mentally breaking down, rightfully so, and such a sweetheart. Because
Very
while
much.
she very much detailed what it was that was bothering her, she really didn't even let that be the driving matter. I think she went the high road here because she clearly could have went a whole nother way of saying like, this guy made me completely uncomfortable. And she detailed saying like, conversations were surface layer. So this to me, fuckboy mentality. It was surface layer, so it became less engaging. And then it became moving too fast, much faster, too much as you wanted, and then very touchy. So obviously, this seems to be like a little motive here. I'll go on the record and say that. That's kind of what it felt to me. And even if you don't agree with me, to the point that this young lady says, I need to leave. That's the hugest red flag you can ever get. When somebody says, for my mental stability, why she didn't say it, but you can read it, for my mental stability, I need to be removed from here. To the point that she doesn't even question about something she put in the question before about the status of her sister. She said, I need my sister. I need her energy. I need to be with her, which means that she was retreating back to her comfort zone. I'm sure it's something you can relate to as well.
100%.
So it broke my heart. And it's a huge moment in episode 5, obviously leading to episode 6 when you all are their replacements. But I just felt so bad for that. But what's interesting is episode 8 or 9, the thing returns.
Yeah, it did.
And you gracefully took the high road as well and said straight up, which this is probably going to be a meme because, the internet love to get facial expressions. You're just like, yeah, I ain't feeling nobody here. And this face you give, I almost spit out my water because you're just like... Because to me, and I think where we relate at is like when I'm pissed, I make some crazy faces. I'm sucking everything in to not spat. And I swear, this is the first facial expression, but I swear at this moment when you declared that I'm not going to continue my journey with anybody. So putting this all into perspective now, knowing that Gabby obviously was relating through some of the things you were going through, and obviously you made your decision off your own merit as well too. Was just kind of looking back into that, what's sort of like the emotions for all of this?
Yeah, so obviously when I entered the house, right, I didn't know what the other girls had been through that left. I had just heard that, a set of twins had left kind of dramatically on a dramatic note. No one really tuned me in initially to kind of what happened and what went down there. But again, I think with me coming in, everyone wanted Love to have a chance to build a connection as well and give him another chance at, coupling up with someone. But the night that we had where Nikki and Brie told us we were having an elimination, I got really emotional because, when you're in there, emotions are super high and you don't have your twin to talk to. You don't have your twin to, be like, hey, this is what I'm going through. I'm upset. So, now when I've seen what happened with Gabby.
Yeah.
See, twins.
Oh, Maddie, Gabby, here we go. Yep, there we go.
With Gabby, it was like, okay, it resonates because I went through something similar. And I think, just to put it out there, like, I think Love probably felt the pressure a little bit of, the show and not having a lot of time, and he hadn't built a connection, and I think he went in a little bit late as well.
They were just set before you all. Yeah.
Yeah, I think he was just trying to go way too fast, and it just makes you uncomfortable. It's, you can't force something that quickly with someone, or I can't anyways, so there was a point where I was just like, this isn't going to work,
Yeah. You stay true to yourself the entire time, and I know, like I speak of friendship, but like I'm not saying that in a biased stance. Like I felt like you bet on yourself the entire experiment. Where if it didn't work, you didn't force it. Mm-hmm. You didn't try to make something out of nothing. I think you took an honest and very genuine approach to it, and it just worked out. I'm not gonna say it didn't work out for you because I felt like even the Bellas and kind of saying like, oh, I'm sorry that you didn't find anything. It's like, no, don't be sorry. Like, this is the decision she made. She's happy with this. It's not always going to work out, you know. And while yes, you can reward the ones that it did it?
Nope.
Yeah. So so there's that.
If you want to get back to that word distance,
The magic
that
word.
was the issue for everyone.
Everybody, huh? Everybody. Yeah. Weird. Yeah, you know we're going to talk about that. And honestly, too, I mean, like, just my thoughts about love is just that I think there definitely was a moment of him being surprised. Like, I thought everything was good, but I definitely think in those situations, you definitely have to do some soul searching and say,
Yeah.
well, what happened? So you don't take the same approach twice, which, well, clearly you did,
Right.
because the same result. And then, and again, I can go off and say, and whether folks agree with me or not, and I don't want to take your credit because we talked a little before we started, but like, it's a disgusting mentality because at the end of it, when you talk about your experience, you're bragging about, well, all the girls you hooked up with. That's not what this was about. You want to do that. Hell, come in the DMV. Clarendon got you. You could go out there, go crazy. They'll go crazy for you. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah, exactly. It's not the place for it.
it's not, because I mean, you're playing with real people, genuine feelings, and hopefully when you watch it, I mean, and I'm very big on empathy, so like obviously there's something still to be learned, but like while your exit wasn't to the emotions displayed as Gabby's, but you still also had your fair share of things as well too.
For sure. And, you know, when a show like this comes out, they can only air so much. There was another date that I went on with Love that really solidified for me that, you know, it wasn't comfortable at the end of the day. But I don't think he had bad intentions, or maybe I don't really know. You don't get to. When I came in, it was hard to really figure out exactly how people were feeling and whether they had a game plan, whether they were there to actually try and find a connection with someone. But then watching, you know, Love's exit kind of interview moment, it didn't come across as the intentions were the best. So.
Well, all right. So even with that, and even having your own share of emotions, that a lot of that wasn't displayed. What were sort of your thoughts looking back at the emotions your sister experienced, and how did that make you feel watching it?
Honestly, it was really hard. I would say that I don't want to say step on toes, but my sister went for a connection with someone that, you know, he was already talking or getting to know another girl in the house. I didn't really go through that. So watching back and seeing, you know, almost like the energy in the house towards my sister in the garden house didn't seem super welcoming. And again, it's a high stress situation that we're all in, and it's understandable.
Yeah.
But it didn't really feel like she was super welcomed or super comfortable in her situation. But watching it back was difficult because she was super upset a lot of the time. And I obviously don't want to see that. So it was hard to watch that.
Yeah. Yeah. And the moment when you did get to kind of experience it there, which we'll get to in a quick second, but it just wasn't fair. I wasn't a fan of it. Again, I think Mickey is a solid guy. I definitely got like a little bit of extra comments about it as well. But we go back to the word distance as well, because every single time they got a chance to talk about distance, they said that was going to be the demise of your sister and Mickey's relationship, which everybody, if you watch the show, we've seen that when they gave you the updates for everybody, people who live 3 states away, next door, distance. But hey, welcome back to the States.
Thank
because
you.
distance is such a problem, I guess, right? Jeez.
Not.
Yeah, like it's just weird to me. It's like I can't even imagine being there talking so much shit about y'all not gonna work because distance, and people didn't make the efforts in the States alone.
Exactly. It makes you think, were the connections authentic?
Right. And then, key thing, pandemic, pandemic travel was hella cheap too. So there was literally no excuse for anybody.
Listen, I'm with you.
It was just weird because it's like everybody's just doing a lot. And then the one thing, we talked about this too is the other Mean Girl mentality. I didn't think was funny or cute. I would say Mean Girl mentality, but just Mean Girl, but everybody. So I'm not pointing at anybody yet. Yeah, not being specific to anybody yet. I didn't like how they kept mimicking the British accent.
Yeah.
Like, I just thought it was corny after a while. I was just like, cool, they're from the UK. That's cool.
Yeah.
But they also said that they're also from Virginia. But they also don't have an accent. But you all are just going to keep doing this, right?
Yeah.
I thought it was just childish. I thought that really set the tone. I was like, oh, this can get really petty all of a sudden.
Yeah.
Did it ever bother you, or did I just get into it way too much?
So that's interesting, actually, to hear your opinion watching it from the outside. But I do have to say that Whitney and Brittany are obsessed with London, and they actually have this thing prior to coming into the house where they use a British accent. So I don't think there was any malicious, intent behind it.
Was it only just them? I felt like, because at times when you heard the accent, you didn't see who was saying it. But I thought it was like a collaborative, like everybody's just chiming in, like, here comes the British girls and do the thing,
Well, maybe I missed that, and I'll have to watch it back again and really think about it. But at the time, I would say it wasn't something that stuck out to me too much. There was other things that stuck out more, for sure.
Oh, what is that? First of all, I just want to be clear too. I love Brittany and Whitney the entire time.
Unreal girls.
And I loved how they also stay very true to themselves. I definitely have a lot of specific questions about their journey, but we're not here for that. But I thought they were hella cool. So hold on. So what you hinting at over there? If you want to say, shall I say?
I mean, a lot of this comes back to once we were all in the same house, but the distance thing, I mean, well, I think once my sister and Mickey made a connection and they decided to move forward together, it just became the topic of conversation every night in the house. And, in the morning, in the afternoon, a lot of people started, I think, second guessing their situations, and it was almost easier to kind of project things onto Rhea and Mickey.
Dave, well, yeah.
That's just my opinion on it. I mean,
that's just how a lot of people are too.
And you can hear, some of the conversations that the other twins had when it was getting to the end of the show was, am I going to see this working on the outside? That's the mentality you start to have. You're almost in this fantasy land for a while, and then when it's time to go into the real world, it's, are we going to last, or how are we going to, make this long distance work? Because we're all in different states. We're all in different areas. So I think it was kind of easy to just make Mickey kind of the
scapegoat.
star. Yeah, the scapegoat.
Yeah. I didn't even think of that. So that's like a lot of people, like, they're screaming confidence, like, we're good, we're solid. This my man, this my girl. And in the back of their head.
Were you really?
Are you friends with anybody still?
Yeah. So Shelby and Allie.
Vegas girls or Vegas Denver, right?
Yeah. They're unreal. They're the sweetest girls.
Yeah.
I actually made an instant connection with Shelby when she came into the house. She honestly became my stand-in Rhea while she was out, and I think their relationship is very similar to the relationship that Rhea and I have.
Yeah.
But honestly, all the girls were super sweet.
Yeah.
Whitney and Brittany are unreal. They remind me of one of my best friends, actually. And Kira and Cameron are just hilarious, super funny, good vibes. And I did get on really well with Madison as well when I was in my house. Again, I didn't, step on any toes, and I was kind of just, once things didn't work out for me, it was just kind of hanging out with the girls and the guys as friends. So I got on really well with everyone.
Yeah. Yeah, I felt like name slipping out of my head. Vegas Denver.
Allie and Shelby.
Yeah, they obviously if you all had a disadvantage, it was just impossible task for
exactly.
them, But I thought definitely they, when I watched the show, just like they weren't able to really contribute anything because there was nothing available for them, or anything available for them. So it's just a matter of them. And this is why I think you kind of have to redesign the game.
For sure.
Because if you are going to do the typical reality show thing where eliminations and so on, then if you're going to have late entries, then it has to be, there has to be some level of potential. I mean, you're not about to come in. I mean, if you all were there for a week, I guess they were a week too, because they came in the same, a day after, I think it was.
Yeah, but they also went home before us, so they were a few days in the house.
Yeah, it's just, what could you do? What can you do? Unless you just come in like a wrecking ball.
Yeah, for sure. You could do that. I don't think that's their personality type, though. But
Yeah.
I will say, Shelby and I had a conversation one afternoon on the sunbed, and I think she said, seeing all these connections forming is super cute. And I think my reaction was just like, it's making me sick to my stomach. Because, you know, when you're in that situation, you want it to work, you know? It would be super cool to meet someone on Twin Love and be able to take that away.
Yeah.
And who knows, you know, we can all still stay in touch, like, you know, get to know each other better on the outside. But that was, in that moment, I was just like, Shelby, like, this is really tough.
Yeah.
You're stuck in that situation. You're in that environment where you're around couples, and it's like, if you're not building a connection, what are you supposed to do?
Yeah. I would have think, like, while I have no ambitions on ever being on a dating show, I do love, like, meeting people and the human interaction. But, like, yeah, when you can't do that. Like, it's really like, well, damn, what do I do? I guess make a few best friends, and we'll kick it later.
Exactly. Hey, I'm going to go see Shelby in Vegas.
Yeah, Vegas is the spot to be. What's up, Shelby? Can I come through, too? We got to talk about the second facial emotion that I'm sure also deserves to go viral, if you ask me. One time for Ree.
Ree.
Just very emotional as it. She just hit her wits. She got tired of it. Morgaine continued to do her mean girl thing. And like, it is what it is. Like, she just, every single time she had an opportunity to say something to, and there's actually a lot with her. I don't know, we won't have time for it, but there's really a lot with her that I just did not agree with. But any single time she took an opportunity to not only cast doubt, but to throw shade at Reed, she did. You know, even to the point where, and I forget who it was, but it was at the point where they was like, all right, so who do we think's not going to make it in the real world? And somebody was like, y'all already asked that.
Yep.
So y'all just, okay, cool. So y'all just not over this again. Yeah. You know what I mean? When Reed left, you know, the meeting, obviously a moment to decompress, and comes back and you went to support her, and cute moment for the two of you. But while Reed demeanor changed, so did yours very quietly. And it looks like the cameras did not want to give you any time here. But the moment when she stood up and she had her announcement that she would be discontinuing this experiment, everybody, I also hated this. And maybe just because I like y'all, I also hated how I felt unsincere. Like, she's crying. And everybody felt very high energy, like, oh, girl, come on. It's like, no, she's hurting because, like, you all are bullying her.
Yeah, for sure.
And as adults, we know, especially in the focus of mental health, like, bullying wasn't something that ended in elementary school. And it has even bigger ramifications for folks now. So, like, you really don't know what she's going through. And again, it could be just me, the viewer, or just the production, but just looking at it, I'm just like, this is a moment for everybody to truly be sincere and put their personal feelings aside and see what's going on with her. But she wanted to leave, and you all say was friends or whatever. But you in the background wasn't with the shits. Everybody giving hugs, and you're sitting there giving all types of, I gotta know.
Yep.
What were you thinking? What were you about to do? What did you do here?
Okay, so looping back a little bit, like you said, Ree was super upset when she came back to tell everyone that she wanted to go home. And mind you, she had a conversation with Mickey that I wasn't a part of, so I didn't know that Ree was making the decision that she wanted to go home. Because we spoke when she was upset in the house, and she was just like, I don't think I can do this anymore. And I just said, Ree, focus on your connection with Mickey. Like, don't worry about what anyone else is thinking. And she came out, and, you know, when she was announcing that she couldn't be there anymore for, you know, it's very obvious reasons. You can watch the show and find out. You know, just the whole vibe around the fire pit just people didn't seem like they were understanding where she was coming from because
no sincerity at all.
No sincerity. Like no empathy. It didn't really come
Mm-hmm.
across like people, you know, felt bad for her in any way, shape, or form. And it's like, I think it has a lot to do with, you know, they had been in the house a lot longer than us. They had built friendships and connections that,
Clicks.
Yeah, exactly. And so I think just the majority was just that there was no emotion for Ree. There was no really like bad feelings for her or anything like that, which is, it's upsetting to see because we came in there and put ourselves out in much of a disadvantage, and I would like to see any of the other set of twins to have done what we did.
Yeah.
You know, it's not easy.
You easily can say if Morgan and what's this name? Madison. I think Madison's super sweet. You put Madison in your position, the same result.
100%.
Easily, and you switch, then there may be a whole different landscape of things right now, you know. But yeah, absolutely. It was never. It could have worked, but it really wasn't. It wasn't a high percentage that was going to work
for sure.
So,
and coming back to my facial expression at the time, you know, when Ree was saying all this, I was taking it into and being like, oh my gosh, we're going home, you know. And I hadn't built a connection at the time, but I felt good about her connection with Mickey. So a part of me was like, oh, Ree, I wish you could just stick this out because, you know, you never know what could happen and you'll have longer to get to know him. And
rooting for your sister, man. Yeah.
Because that's where I was at that point. So I felt bad that she kind of got pushed out emotionally by everyone because that was a very long day. We did a challenge where, you know, the distance thing kept coming up and then we go to the fire pit at nighttime and it's still the topic of conversation. And she was just uncomfortable. And I could see it, and it made me sad. It made me upset. And also feel super defensive as well, right? Like, I'm wanting to back her up. So I think my face, I'm one of those people that I just can't, I'm just too authentic and genuine with my emotions.
Yeah.
When, I think it was, when Ree said this, Morgan automatically stood up to go give her a hug. To say goodbye, and it's like, hey, you're kind of the main reason that
read the fucking room, girl. Like
you know what you did over the past 2 days.
Yeah.
To my sister, so it's like, you know, it doesn't.
But I mean, that's the same person that also thought that it was the definitive decision for Mickey to pick her. No awareness of all the other things she's been saying. Like, I'm just hanging on so that my sister's relationship works. Or like, sure. I'm not physically attracted to him, but now that he has another girl, I think this is going to work. Like,
I know. And again, it's a really tough environment to be in. And I think Morgan, from some of the things that I saw in her confessionals, it does sound like she has history and a past that makes her maybe have a wall up and be a little bit uncomfortable with, you know, the idea of letting her walls down and letting someone in. So I think she struggled with that.
Mm-hmm.
But
Fair.
It's not nice to put other people down or make other people uncomfortable because you're kind of uncomfortable in your own way. So
as a guy, I'm telling you, nobody's out here trying to be yo-yoed.
Exactly.
Like, when you want me, you got me up. When you don't, you just got me out here just hanging all down, all silly. Like, nobody wants to deal with that. And that's what he was enduring. He was like, I like that Reed knew what she wanted and she went after it. He loved the confidence. He loved that it was never a question.
For sure.
The only thing I've been holding off this entire time is I wish he would have advocated for her a little stronger in the house.
I agree.
He should have stood up and said, cut it out. Period. And I don't think he's that of a reserved guy. Jair obviously didn't have a problem with standing up for his brother. So I know he has to have that same energy too. But I'm like, man, that's your girl. Mm-hmm. Your girl's leaving not because she has doubts with you. She has doubts because of the environment and it's not good for her. You can literally put your foot down, and everybody else was stepping up for their partners. I think it was Whitney or Brittany, but whenever their respective partner in spilling the tea, when she got hurt or fell down, he went and got her. I have never seen that in a game. All these shows got physical games with somebody. He said, "Nah, that's my girl. I had to go get her."
Exactly.
I'm like, that's my man right there. That's what you're supposed to do. He should have put his foot down and said, "Hey, listen, cut all that out." All that little catty talk, cut it out. It ain't cute. Look what y'all doing. In. And I bet you, that right there, along with you being with her, she would have gave it, y'all would have been in the finale. Been a different story. And all that whole, like, I don't think it's going to work. Oh, all that go to bed too, because now it's like, oh yeah, he's standing up for her.
Yeah, I think it would have made a big difference if Mickey had had different energy on the situation. Again, coming back to, he had to deal with the fact that his twin was dating Madison, and on the outside, it's like, you know, does it make the most sense? I think he was struggling too with, is he making the right decision? But he did mention in one of his confessionals that, you know, the more that Morgaine was saying the things that she was saying, he felt he made the right decision by going for Ree. But I think if he had had more, if he'd really stood on that statement and had more energy to kind of back her up and make her feel like he was supporting her, it could have gone differently for sure.
Yeah, I thought he was right by not forcing Ree to make a decision, by saying like, if this is what you want to do, I support it. But I also think you could have gave her, at least in a departing fashion, of supporting her, saying like, cut it out. But he went back and then again, everybody's different. He went and kind of isolated himself, like, man, this is crazy. Like, I can't believe all this is happening. Yeah, it is, but also I don't know. Maybe it's me. I'm ranting, but whatever. So anyway, are you reneging on your gesture to fly Mickey out to? I can't believe you're gonna sit here and like, yeah, first class. He cool. Yeah, like what? Can I get in first class? What's good?
Become economy.
Yeah. You gonna put him on Spirit?
You'll get there, but it's not gonna be comfortable.
Yeah, or he might not get there. Shit. Yeah, I was like, yeah, out here offering first class flight. Can I? I mean, I come through. Shit. So now that we got the update of the update, I mean, this is the update of that. We got the update at the end of the show, so we know where everybody's status is and whatnot. So y'all can look at that. We already talked about it a little bit earlier. What's up with you? What's going on in your life, man? You hinted a little bit earlier, but like, what's going on?
Yeah, so it's been a year since filming. My sister and I actually did go and visit Samir and Summer in LA. A few months after filming, which was super fun. You know, I had a good connection with Samir. I think he's a super cool guy. Again, it's a friendship, but that was fun, and you know, I'm going to go visit him again in a few days and see some of the other twins as well. But had to go back to Manchester and back to normal life for a year. Met someone, you know, thought it was going well, and so far, I think I'm wrong.
That's the most nicest way I've ever heard.
Yeah, it's the 3-month rule. Have you heard of the 3-month rule?
No, that's a little bit more extended than the normal duration. So 3 months.
Yeah, if you make it past 3 months, it's probably green lights. But if you get to month number 3 and things start to fall apart, it's not going to work. So
that's fair.
I don't think we're going to beat the 3-month rule.
How much more time you got? I mean, hell, you about to go to...
We're right on 3 months.
Doesn't help you going to LA, though.
Hey, you know, I got to put myself first. So.
True that. All right, interesting. Reunion and the lack of their reunion. So I would imagine that's going to be a big thing, and everybody's celebrating the release of the show and catching up and talking about the perspectives and the production, how you all were sort of just shown on the show. Mm-hmm. Did you feel good about how you were shown on the show?
Yeah, I do feel good about it. Again, I stayed true to myself from start to finish. I'm a super authentic person. You know, I can't go on a dating show and pretend to be someone I'm not.
Yeah.
Obviously, you can go on with strategy and you can have sort of a game plan. But at the same time, it's like you're going to get the authentic Moo and Ree. So that's kind of just the plan we went in with, just be ourselves and see what happens.
And what's next? Any other shows or anything that involves television in your future? You thinking about it?
No, we'll have to see. I'm not against it. Put me on The Bachelor. That's the vibe I want now. Keep me on The Villa.
Oh my goodness.
Put me on The Bachelor.
You are something. Well, listen, we probably could talk for like 3 or 4 more hours if we wanted. But nonetheless, we're going to wrap this up, though. But obviously, you know, it's been so much fun talking to you. I'm so happy to see you, and it was so cool to see you on the show doing your thing. Thank you so much for your time and pulling back the curtains a little bit, letting us know what's going on. And we're rooting for you to win out here, whether you're going to make a connection in Vegas or 3 months becomes 4, 5, 6 months. I don't know, man. You might get desperate.
We'll have to see. Not desperate, never. But definitely open to that. And I'm still ready for love. Like, my sister, who knows if she'll be married and have kids in the next year. And I can't be the twin left hanging. So Put me on Bachelor. Put me on something.
She was always first, remember? So it's
I know.
destined for you.
I'm
now.
just living
now
the same
stars
life
matter.
as her, just a few months behind her. That's how I see it.
There it is. There it is. Well, Moo, thank you so much for your time,
Thank
folks.
you.
Check out Twin Love on Prime Video November 17th. Get in the comments. Let us know your thoughts about this interview. And I would say stick around. We got more content, interviews, all that other good stuff. The strike is up. It's over. That means all the good stuff is on the way. So definitely keep it locked here, and we'll see y'all back very soon.